Okay, so here's a quick video tutorial on how to do a feasibility study for a development project. This will be a multifamily rental development project. So we start out with, as usual, first thing we got to do is buy the property. And so we have a $2.3 million property in this case, about 470 dollars per square feet. And next thing we're going to have to do is estimate our development costs, and I've got to start on that down here in number 2. So I want to have all of our development costs, but then I want to know them by percent of total cost and also dollars per square feet. So I think actually what I'm going to start with is the amount for contingency, which is defined to be over here 15% of demolition, design, and construction. So I'll just say equals 0.15 times. What do we have here? I've got my demolition, okay, plus design plus construction. Okay, so that's going to make everything easier for me now. And so let me subtotal up my total gut rehab costs. So I get 1.2 million and change. And I know the total square footage of the building that we are planning to create. And it's about 5,000 square feet here for the building. That's a weird number. Um, and let's just go ahead and use that. So we're going to say equal to the total amount for demolition divided by, where is my beautiful square footage? Okay, up here, D43, and I'll function F for that to lock that down. And now that I've got that locked down, I can take that very quickly and copy it down to all the other costs. I'm not quite ready to do percent of total project cost yet, so let me leave that out, because what I need to do down here in row 62 to get the total project cost is I've got to say property purchase price plus everything else, okay? And that's my gut rehab cost. So I add those two together and I get 3.5 million. And while I'm here, I'm just going to get rid of those decimal places so my 151,000 doesn't look too big and weird. Okay, and now I can go ahead and get all these guys in terms of percent of total. So I'll just say here equal to, for demolition, the cost of demolition divided by the total project cost. And again, I'll function F for that to lock that down. And now I have a nice, very general formula there. And I've got my percentage of everything. And you see construction and the cost of the land in this case are really the big deals here. And let me go ahead and total up all of these guys. Okay. So the total per square foot cost for a gut rehab is $250 roughly, and purchase of the property $470. Okay, and now for our total project cost, I just want to take the purchase price plus the total gut rehab cost in dollars per square feet. And I can just copy this over here. That's going to look sort of funny, so I think I want to change the format of that. So I'll take my little format painter, take something that's in percent and put it down there, and I better get 100%. Okay, and the total gut rehab project cost, which that's not from the development cost page, and that's right up here. So I think I'm just going to delete that. That's a sort of a useless line. Okay. So our rehab cost per square foot is equal to the actually I'm going to leave that out too because we have all of our we have all the dollars per square foot that we need. Okay, so I'll just get rid of that. Okay, and let's keep going now. So we've estimated our costs. Remember, this is, this is a week or so's worth of work, a lot of work involved in that, a lot of experience needed for that. And now we go down to, we know what the land costs, we've estimated the costs of building the building, and to understand if this project is going to be viable, if we can make money on it, we of course need to know what our selling price is going to be, and we'll subtract all our costs from the selling price, considering tax, and we'll see how that looks. Okay, so I've got 4 comps down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I've got sale prices for each of those and square feet, and we always need everything normalized to dollars per square feet, otherwise we can't compare anything. So I'm gonna just take for each one my dollars and my square feet, divide my total dollars price of that building from a recent transaction from Trulia, divided by the square feet, and so I get the dollars per square foot price. Okay, and let's go ahead and get all these averages here. So we'll say average of all of these, have my four comps. So average price of 4.2 million, and let me just see how that's looking. That's looking, I think, pretty good. Okay. So now we've got our comps in hand, and because I'm a little anal about formatting, I'm going to make that format more consistent. Okay, so for our target estimated price, if our comps are good, our target estimated sale price should be about the average of our comps. But what we're going to have to do is take the average on a dollars per square foot basis, okay, and multiply that by our square feet. Okay, so I'm going to say here, here's the average dollars per square foot sales price of the comps times our square feet, which is in a couple places up here, but this square footage is square footage of the building, and so we get 5.5 million. Okay, and this is pretty straightforward. We're going to estimate our worst case price as 90% of our target. You may want to argue with that. Maybe that's kind of inappropriate, but this is what we've got, and this is something you should question. in the real world, why not 70% or something like that? 90% seems a little too close to me. All right, so our worst case price, we have about 5.0 million, and our best case price, we're defining it as 1.1 times our target price, so that's about 6.1 million. Okay, so now we need to compute. The most important thing about these feasibility studies is answering the question, what is our post-tax gain? And even more important, because it normalizes the answer for us, what is our post-tax return? Okay, so to get our pre-tax gain, okay, for the expected value price, we're going to take our expected value price and subtract our total costs from that, total project cost here, and I'm going to F4 that also. And for the worst case, I have the 0.9 times that, and the best case 1.1 times that. And because of the way I've put the formula in, I think I can just copy these down, and I think that's correct. Okay, and for the tax, we have to remind ourselves what the tax rate is for the members of this LLC. And that is given to us, the ordinary income tax rate for this developer is 30%. And most developments, as I said in class and are said in videos, are taxed at ordinary income rates on what you sell the building for minus what you paid for it, just like, which is exactly how inventory works if you're making widgets or smartphones or something like that. Okay, so what do we have here? I want to get that 30%, so I'm going to go up here and capture that, and I'm going to function F for that, which puts in the dollar signs, and that's going to be 30% of our pre-tax gain. Okay, so about $600,000 and change. And in the bad scenario, it'll be less, and in the great scenario, it will be more. And again, I'm really not liking these decimal places here because it just looks like these two are an order of magnitude bigger than this. So for consistency's sake, I'm just going to blast out the decimal points there. Formatting, I kind of can't stress enough, formatting is extremely important once you get into the real world. And if you're in an interview where you have to do some modeling, if your formatting isn't good, I can pretty much guarantee you won't get the job. So don't neglect formatting. Okay. So our post-tax gain is just going to be equal to our pre-tax gain minus our tax. Okay, and that's not too bad. A cool 1.4 million in our expected scenario, 1.0 million, which is not bad in our worst case, and 1.8 million in our best case. Okay, so that's nice, but what the game doesn't really tell you is how much did we get out of this as a function of what we put into it. And that's what return gives us. It's going to be our gain divided by all of our costs, okay? So I want to take my gain here, and I want to divide this by everything that we have put into this project. And so I've got that there. This is pretty good. Okay, so 40% return, and copy that down. 30% return, 51.8% return. So that all looks really good. I mean, this is definitely so far a project that is looking like it's going to be worth doing a financial plan. All right, so that's our gain and return based on comps, okay, which has given us a big thumbs up. And really, return at the end of the day is the most important thing. Um, and now we have to go down to, as you've learned in the videos, we have to consider our sale using the cap rate method. Um, and so let's go ahead and get that going. Um, and as you can see, I've got some problems with numbers here. So I need to, it's saying 1/30th of my rehab cost per year. So, you know, not to panic. I'm just gonna go up here and get my rehab cost there. Okay. And I get 104,663. And our total operating expenses here, I'm just going to add up all of our expenses such as property tax, insurance, utilities, superintendent, et cetera, et cetera. So we just sum these guys up and we get, and I don't want that. Um, and uh, there, oh, I'm sorry. I want there, sorry about that, wrong thing. I'm looking at the wrong thing. I want a percent of effective gross income there. So, sorry about that. So I want um, to have my total operating expenses divided by my effective gross income. Okay, and now I put the percent back in there. Okay, all right. And what is my NOI? Hopefully you remember all of this from development, and if not, you've got it in the videos in this class. The NOI is effective gross income minus total operating expenses. So we'll just say here's our effective gross income, and here are our total operating expenses. We subtract those and we get about 202,000. Okay. And now that we have an NOI, now we can go ahead and use the cap rate, right? Because the estimated price of the building is going to be our NOI times our cap rate. So we've got three cap rates here that we're thinking about. Expected 5% cap rate. Market downturn, 6% cap rate. Market upturn, 4% cap rate. In a market downturn, the cap rate is higher because to get people to buy the building, they're going to say, well, things look scary and bad right now. I don't want to do this unless I have a higher cap rate, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so here we go. We take our cap rate times our net operating income here, and we get here. Well, I'm sorry. Of course, it's divided by the cap rate. The NOI divided by the cap rate gives us what we need. Sorry about that. My lame excuse is I have a really bad cold, so I'm not thinking clearly, but that's pretty lame, but it's also a fact on the ground. Okay. All right. So we get 4 million there and change if we can get someone to agree with our estimate of NOI for the first year. and a cap rate of 5%. And similarly for 6 and 4, we get about 3.4 million and 5.1 million for sale price. And now that we've got that, now that we've got our cap rate based sale price, which includes a lot of work again, right? Two important things. First of all, we've got to estimate NOI in the first year of the building being operated. So we're going to need to know rental revenue, work that down to EGI, get all of our operating costs, subtract them to get NOI. We have to estimate cap rates after that, and then our NOI divided by our cap rate gives us the estimated sale of the building. So I'm doing this very, very quickly, but there's a lot of work going on here. Okay, so our pre-tax gain in the three scenarios, here we have scenario 1 minus what's gain defined to be, what we get minus everything we put into it. So I got to go back up here to total project cost and get that. So I have 534,000. Remember, this is pre-tax, and I'm going to make this E62 a hard reference. I'm going to nail that down, and the reason I want to do that is so I can, because I'm so lazy, I can then just copy these formulas down. Tax is going to be same as it was before. It's going to be our 30%. Where is my beautiful 30%? It's up here somewhere. Am I not finding it? I'll just type it in if I have to, but I really don't like to do that. Yeah, always better to refer to a formula than what's called hard coding a number, typing it in, because that way when you make a change, which you inevitably will, you make a change up above and everything else changes automatically. Okay, so our tax is going to be 30% of our pre-tax gain, just like it was before. And we want to assume here, if pre-tax gain is negative, we want to set our tax to 0. This is really a much longer discussion that is beyond the scope of this course, but your tax in a case like this, where you have a negative gain, will either be 0 or you actually could get a cash refund back from the government. So this would be, if we're treating these as positive numbers, this would actually be a negative number. We can talk about that in class, but it's one of those two scenarios. Either your tax is 0 or you get actually a cash rebate from the government, depending on your situation. Okay, so the post-tax gain is our pre-tax gain, just like it was up above, minus our tax. And so we're getting about 373 and change, and I don't like this formatting either. Numbers should in general always be rate justified, and why does that look like it's not rate justified? It is, okay. And our return, much better number than the gain, okay, is equal to our gain divided by everything we put into it. So it's that wonderful ratio, okay. What we got out of the project as a function of what we put into the project, okay. So that's looking pretty good here. And I'm going to lock that guy down so I can just copy that formula. Okay, so what we can conclude here is that using two methods of valuing this project, assuming no debt financing, no nothing, the sponsor's just going to pay for it all herself out of her funds without taking out any loans to help her. Based on comps, this looks like a very, very profitable deal if we have estimated our costs properly. Um, and based on cap rates, there's a pretty big discrepancy. It's much lower. We'd want to look at that. But in everything but the market downturn scenario, it's still looking like a profitable project. And it only looks like an unprofitable project in the market downturn scenario for cap rates. So I would definitely conclude that this is going to be worth doing a much more careful study for which we will get a capital stack. We'll take out a loan, maybe get some mezzanine financing, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll use the time value of money. And with a lot of these good considerations, this project should still continue to look good and probably look better from a cap rate perspective. So I'm not going to type these in. We've talked about these answers. Okay, so that's it. Just quick tutorial. This should help you with the homework, and sayonara.